Before we begin, I'd just like to apologize on behalf of my cat, Truffle, who is now on screen. She decided it would be a lovely idea to purr throughout a lot of the recording. I unfortunately could not make the mic not pick that up, so please just be patient when that happens. Thank you. Religious discrimination is defined as treating a person differently because of their religious beliefs and needs for accommodation for said beliefs, and is a violation of your civil rights. The First Amendment protects your freedom of religion, and thus it should not be violated. But what happens when a kid tries to wear a pentacle necklace to school? They are told to take it off, whereas kids wearing crosses and Stars of David are left alone. This is one of many incidents that can contribute to the ongoing problem of religious discrimination for practitioners of witchcraft. Before we get into broadening our understanding of what witchcraft is, let's review one of the first things that pop into people's heads when they think of witchcraft. The Salem witch trials took place in what is now Danvers, Massachusetts around the years 1692 and 1693. No fewer than 19 alleged witches were hanged and condemned. These people were not witches. They were victims. Refugees from King William's War fled to Danvers, then called Salem, and resources were quickly drained. The people of Salem grew irrational and believed the quarreling and misfortune was the work of the devil. If the Salem witches weren't actually witches, then what is a witch? A witch is defined as a person, and especially a woman, believed to have magic powers. Now that we have the basic definition of the word, how does it relate to the modern world? The modern witch is a practitioner of witchcraft. Witchcraft is the invocation of magic, that's right, with a K, for a specific purpose. It is neither benign nor baneful by nature and fluctuates depending on the practitioner. To clarify, witches do not have to be women, or on the gender binary at all. The word wizard has an entirely different meaning and is not a masculine title when concerning real-world witchcraft. Also, the people of Salem believed a witch to be a person with magic powers gifted to them by the devil, with whom they were in league. This is simply incorrect. It is easiest to examine witchcraft through the examination of a religion often followed alongside it, Wicca. Wicca is a religion that is believed to have sprung from the contemporary pagan movement and is based on pre-Christian cultures. A holiday Wiccans may celebrate is Yule, which falls around the same time as Christmas. Christmas is celebrated during Yule because it is effectively a stand-in. Many people were forcibly converted to Christianity somewhere before the Middle Ages. Wiccans traditionally worship the triple goddess, the maiden, the mother, and the crone, and nature. Not all Wiccans practice witchcraft, and not all witches follow Wicca or any religion at all. Personally, I worship Dionysus, known for being the god of wine. To relate it to a familiar concept, I pray to him before reading tarot to invoke him in the reading. It's sort of like praying to God to help you on a test. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't, but it brings you a sense of security. I'm more than happy to answer any questions you may have about my personal practice, but please be respectful. I will neglect to answer questions at my own discretion, and do keep in mind that everybody's practice is different. Some witches work with their gods or goddesses during spell work, others simply worship them, and of course there are witches that don't work with or follow any gods. There are also Christian witches. Witchcraft has nothing to do with religion. Witchcraft is the art of spellcasting, but there is more to the practice than chanting poems around a bonfire. Spells can be compared to prayers. Witches cast them to bring about an effect based on their intention. Spells aren't just spoken word, though. For example, stir your drink counterclockwise to banish something and clockwise to bring something in. Other practices like divination, seen in tarot and oracle cards, tasseomancy and scrying, and rituals, seen in things like casting a circle, are also prevalent, but vary from witch to witch. Now that you have a basic understanding of what an actual modern witch is, let's go over how and why our culture is so presently appropriated without most people even realizing they're doing it. Our obsession with the Salem witch trials brings out our morbid curiosity for the dark and bloody. With our fascination with the macabre, it's easy to see why this horrible event has become so popularized in modern media. The Green Witch is associated with witchcraft, but she has her roots in the Wizard of Oz, not actual witchcraft. She rides upon a broomstick with her black cat, but this is yet another remnant of the Salem witch trials. This relates back to dogs being executed after being accused of being witches' familiars, though time has twisted them from dogs to cats. The green-faced witch is an example of cultural appropriation because she is a mockery of our culture as witches as a whole. When a crime is committed by a Christian man, the headline reads, "Man commits crime." But if he were a witch, it would read, "Man claiming to be a witch commits crime." Witches are spectacled no matter the circumstance. You could find the cure for cancer and they'd still find space to work in your spiritual beliefs. Why? Well, it's because it's different than the norm imposed on us from birth. We are taught that what is right and what is not exactly right in the same way is wrong. In the case of Shannon Ryan, he was charged with the second-degree murder of a missing woman. but what do the headlines read? Self-proclaimed witch Shannon Ryan charged second-degree murder in Layla Cavit's disappearance. Self-described witch faces new charges in missing mom case. Self-proclaimed witch charged with murder of missing Alabama mom in Florida. They tack on that the murderer openly practiced witchcraft, as though it is a bad thing that preceded the terrible act. Notice also how in all of these headlines, witch is put in quotations. It's entirely demeaning and meant to display that this man is bad and unstable. Replace the word witch with something like Catholic. Does it still make sense to have in the headline? Employers are obligated to accommodate religious needs. We can take Christmas off, we can take Easter off, but can we take the day of the solstice off? Even schools let children have Christian holidays off. Do we see that same treatment toward families that celebrate different holidays? By law, employers must accommodate for religious needs, unless, however, they suspect that belief is not sincerely held. And for something as demeaned and deemed false as witchcraft, we can begin to see why it may be hard to ask for a religious holiday off. In the workplace, harassment can still slip by a supervisor's eye, or come directly from one. In the case of former TSA worker Carol Smith, she faced harassment from fellow employees and supervisors, and a plan to fire her was concocted. Her former mentor claimed Smith put a hex on her car, and legitimate grounds to fire her were created through writing up small slip-ups and making up or misconstruing poor personal conduct. This woman was extremely good at her job, but all they wanted to see was that she was a witch. To review this subject, witches are practitioners of witchcraft. To be a witch, you must simply practice witchcraft. Religion and gender identity are irrelevant. The Salem witch trials were not at all related to real witchcraft, but were the result of a town under stress and the delusions of God-fearing individuals. Witches and related nature religions are discriminated against even at work and in school, and the media puts out misconceptions they may not even realize are misconceptions. Witches, pagans, and Wiccans are all lumped into the same category and are largely regarded as devil worshippers when paganism itself doesn't even include a concept of a devil. It's okay to ask questions, but please try to convey your honest intent. Keep an open mind and make it clear you're curious. Religious discrimination is defined as treating a person differently because of their religious beliefs and needs for accommodation for said beliefs, and is a violation of your First Amendment rights. As we can see by reviewing the Salem witch trials, the fallout of this can affect even those who are not witches, and the satanic panic of the 1980s is a good example. Anything unfamiliar is demonized and shunned, and a sense of moral superiority is taken in. Practitioners of witchcraft and followers of Wicca, paganism, and even Satanism should be left to their practices and accommodated for, just as followers of Catholicism and the Jewish faith are. To quote a widely held Wiccan saying, "If it harm none, do what you will." Here's my sources page. There's about 13 of them. I did a lot of research to make sure I got all the facts correct. I wanted to make sure that I represented this topic accurately.